Path of Exile 2 Early Access is just 1 day away, and the big question on everyone's mind is what class should you play first? Are you ready to crush enemies with the Titan's raw power, command armies of the dead as the Witch, or rain destruction with the Deadeye's precision bow skills? Over the last few days, I've been binging every bit of Path of Exile 2 content, gearing up to make the ultimate choice for launch day, but I'm curious, what are you planning to play first? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What class are you starting with? Which Ascendancy are you most hyped for? Do you have any builds or strategies in mind? And most importantly, what do you think will be overpowered and nerfed? And which one is serving the best class fantasy for you? What are you hyped for? Before we dive into this compilation of guides, go over to the community tab on my channel to cast your vote on the polls on the coolest Ascendancies. So I've posted all 6 classes there, and then there's an image poll saying which Ascendancy you'd rather go. They're pretty controversial, the results at the minute, but the sample size is really small, so go and sort out the real results, you know what I mean? Since I've finished these guides and this compilation earlier than I thought, I'll probably do like a tier list of things I'm vibing with the most, like what's serving the most class fantasy, because there's still like a day and a half to go and I'm just itching to go, so I need to channel this energy somewhere. Today's sponsor is me. I made a game, it's called Battle Babes. It's on Steam, it's on sale. Go play it if you want. Love you, peace. Enough waffle, let's get on with the guides. So each one, I introduce it with the quote that I've found on the internet, like related to that class, and then we just dive down all the core mechanics, some pros and cons, then we go through all the different Ascension classes you can go for each one. So buckle down for 6 classes and 12 Ascension classes. My life has been naught but discipline and focus, preparing me for this. I fight for the benevolent dreamer. Free my hands, and those who seek chaos will fall before me. Let's talk about the Monk class in Path of Exile 2, and we're going to go through the 2 Ascension classes, Invoker and Acolyte of Chayula. Thanks for all the love on the previous videos. I'm learning a lot and I'm learning as I'm going. I'm not that experienced with Path of Exile 2, so leave some tips and tricks down below for other people and for myself. There's so much information and so many systems to learn that every little helps. So I've done a Mercenary guide, I've done a Witch guide. Let's crack on with this Monk one. So the Monk for me is the 3rd character I plan on going because I love the Mercenary gem guy. I love the Witch. I still can't decide which Witch Ascension I want to go. But then I'm like, okay, I really want to play the Ranger, but I've not played a melee yet. So I want to play the Monk melee rather than the Warrior melee. And then eventually I'll go Ranger. So that's my top 4 at the minute. I'm doing the Ranger video after this, but let's crack on with the Monk. Enough waffle. So step into the shoes of the Monk, a hybrid intelligence/dexterity class in Path of Exile 2. Known for their agile combat, Monks excel with quarterstaffs, unarmed strikes, and elemental martial arts, making them one of the most versatile melee classes in the game. This video is going to break down everything you need to know about the Monk and its powerful Ascendancy classes, Invoker and Acolyte of Chayula as well. And you're going to learn about the dynamic elemental abilities and some of the cool combos you can pull off and what the kind of play style is like and if the vibe and the class fantasy is the right fit for you. So let's go over some of the key features. So the Monk combines swift melee strikes, magical elemental attacks, and has a unique focus on momentum. Whether you're dashing through enemies with lightning speed or summoning powerful Tempest bells for AoE destruction, the Monk offers a fast-paced and engaging playstyle with crazy and cool combinations and combo points you can use and spend. So some of the key features, we've got momentum-based combat where you can build and expend combo points to unleash devastating combos. We've got a quarterstaff mastery, amplify your staff attacks with elemental attacks and ranged projectiles. You've got a Tempest Bell skill, summon a resonating bell that deals AoE damage with additional elemental interactions like freezing or shocking enemies. If you've ever watched Kung Fu Hustle, that's all I can think about when I see this Tempest Bell. So shout out to the OGs that have watched that film, it's hilarious. But let's move on. Elemental martial arts, so draw from lightning, ice and wind schools for adaptive combat strategies. So if you want to live the Avatar Aang fantasy, or what's the Zuko, you can go Zuko with the Dark route, or you can go Avatar Aang with the Invoker route. I'm loving the class fantasy. I'm loving the spiritual ties. Like, it's a bit of me, this. So if I'm going to go any melee class, it would be this, unless like a rogue comes out, but there's no rogue, unfortunately, yet. Let's move on. So some pros is fluid and fast-paced melee combat, versatile elemental skills for adaptive gameplay, and you've got unique mechanics like the Tempest Bell and cool combo-driven finishes. Some of the cons are combo mastery is quite difficult if you want to get the maximum use out of it. You are quite fragile in melee combat compared to like the warrior, so you've got to position yourself properly or be really good at dodging and getting out of the way of things. And it relies on maintaining momentum and resource management. So there you go. Let's move on to the Ascendancy classes. So in Act 2, you can ascend. And we'll go through the Invoker first. So the Invoker harnesses the raw power of elements, turning melee strikes into waves of elemental destruction. Some of the key features are Elemental Expression, trigger powerful elemental effects on critical melee hits. You've got Faith is a Choice, gain the Meditate skill, doubling your energy shield during meditation. We've got Elemental Amplification, Cold, gain 10% bonus damage as cold and create chill ground on freezing enemies. Lightning, gain 10% bonus damage as lightning and create shocked ground on shocking enemies. And then we've got Unbound Avatar, transform into a powerful elemental avatar for unparalleled damage. Like, literally, Avatar Aang's avatar mode, like, it's serving. So some of the pros, excellent for players who enjoy elemental combos. It's got high damage potential with critical hits synergy and strong survivability through the use of energy shield bonuses. Some of the cons are it requires precise elemental focus for maximum effectiveness, and you're vulnerable when meditation or energy shield mechanics are disrupted. Moving on to the Acolyte of Cheula, the Darkness Zuko vibes. So we've got Embrace the Darkness as a shield and weapon, turning chaos into your greatest strength. Key features: Embrace the Darkness, replace Spirit with a Darkness resource reserved with each damage taken. Grasp of the Void, gain bonus chaos damage based on unreserved darkness. Cheula's Gift, double chaos resistance and increase its maximum limit. Consuming Questions, instantly recover mana and energy shield through leech mechanics. And Into the Breach, use darkness to unleash devastating area attacks, or AoE. Pros, we've got high chaos resistant, makes the Acolyte tanky in specific scenarios. We've got instant leech mechanics to ensure sustain in battle. It's ideal for players seeking a dark theme / playstyle / class fantasy. Some of the cons are it's reliant on a darkness mechanic, which requires careful resource management. Energy shield recharge is disabled, demanding precise leeching strategies. So you've got to know how to play, essentially. And then finally, which Ascendancy fits you? So what are you going to choose? Are you going to go for the Invoker to master the elements and synergize with high critical hits? Or are you going to opt for the Darkness Acolyte of Cheula, where it's a chaos-focused playstyle with tanky mechanics? You've got 21 active quarterstaff skills where you can mix and match skills like Staggering Palm to create projectiles or Killing Palm for powerful finishers. You've got skill gem customization where all your skills are powered by gems and you can enable limitless experimentation and build variety. Then Tempest Bell, which is a unique skill that summons a resonating bell, dealing massive elemental AoE damage. So what are you going to play first? List them in order, list what kind of build you're looking for. Just share some comments down below. I'm really excited, but there's like 3 days until it actually gets released, so I'm just pumping out videos to channel all this like hype energy somewhere. If you like this stuff, give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you want to support the channel, I've released a game. It's called Battle Babes. It's on sale. It's on Steam right now. Love you. Hasta la vista. Peace. I wanted very little for myself. A forge, a bed. They took that all away when they burned down my home. Give me one good hammer, and they will find that there is nothing more dangerous than a man of peace roused to war. Conquer the battlefield with the warrior in Path of Exile 2, a strength-based class specialising in close combat melee battles. The warrior wields massive weapons, war cries, and totems to dominate enemies with sheer physical power. In this guide, we'll explore the warrior's core mechanics and the Ascension classes, Warbringer and Titan. And then we'll look at some strategies to master this tanky class for the ultimate melee experience. Thanks for all the love and support on my other guides. This is my last video now, and then I'll compile them all. And then it's just sitting on my hands waiting for the game to actually release so we can play it. A quick overview of the warrior and some of the key features. So we've got a traditional tanky melee class, which is focused on toe-to-toe combat with high survivability and devastating physical damage. Armed with maces, shields, and powerful war cries, the warrior thrives in chaotic close-range battles. So your key features are war cries and slams. Empower your next attack with abilities like Seismic Cry and Stampede. You've got shields and defense. You can block incoming damage while utilizing shield-specific skills like Shield Charge, and then totem utility. Summon totems like Shockwave Totem to disrupt enemies and deal supplementary damage. Some pros, we've got exceptional durability with blocking mechanics and high life pools, powerful crowd control through war cries, stuns and knockbacks. We've got a versatile playstyle with totems and shield-based skills for getting out of tricky scenarios. Some of your cons are potentially low mobility due to heavy armor and large weapons, vulnerable to unblockable attacks requiring precise dodging, and resource management for stamina and blocking adds complexity. But the fact with the new WASD movement system in Path of Exile 2, and the way you can like maneuver around mid-combat, like you can steer your guy while he's about to slam, and if you're ever worried, you can just dodge roll out of there, and if you don't want to do that, you can just put up your shield and block it. He's got, do you know what I mean? The strength stacking and the health stacking you're going to get. Very tanky, very fun to play, so I'm looking forward to it. The class fantasy for the tanky god with big slams is what I'm after when I come to a warrior. So let's go over the Ascendancy classes, Warbringer and Titan. We'll talk about the Warbringer first. The Warbringer channels ancestral spirits to unleash devastating abilities, combining utility and damage with war cries and totems. Some of your key features are Answered Call, summon ancestral spirits when deploying totems, which provide extra damage and utility. You've got Jade Heritage, encase yourself in Jade to block and absorb damage and trigger that whenever you want. Warcaller's Bellow, explode nearby corpses when using a war cry, dealing AoE physical damage. Great Wolf's Howl, remove Warcry cooldowns, allowing relentless offensive bursts. Some of your pros are excellent for hybrid totem and melee builds, strong AoE with corpse explosions, endless Warcry usage for consistent damage boosts. Some of your cons are dependent on corpse mechanics for AoE potential, and managing multiple totems and Warcries can be demanding. Let's move on to the Titan. So this embodies overwhelming strength, focusing on high damage slams and devastating physical power. I think this is more my vibe if I'm going to go the warrior. Key features are Earthbreaker. Slam skills have a chance to cause aftershocks, dealing massive follow-up damage. Crushing impacts. All hits are crushing blows, significantly increasing damage. Surprising strength. Deal 40% more damage to heavily stunned enemies. Some of your pros are outstanding single target damage, perfect for bosses. High crowd control with stuns and aftershock mechanics, and thrives in prolonged toe-to-toe battles. Cons, you've got limited mobility, making kiting difficult, and relies on heavy stun mechanics for maximum damage. So based on all that waffle there, which Ascendancy fits your playstyle and the class fantasy you're after? Is it the Warbringer, which is ideal for players who enjoy hybrid builds with Warcries, totems, and AoE utility? Or are you more of a Titan player, which is perfect for those who want raw, visceral, overwhelming physical power and crushing melee attacks? So leave a comment, which one are you going to play? What are you going to play the other classes in order, and which ones are you going to ascend for them? What are your thoughts and feelings on Path of Exile 2 so far? There's like 2 days left till we get to play, so I'm just itching to play now. I've run out of videos like this to make, so now I really don't know what to do. Leave a comment, engage, get involved down below, and we'll just end on your warrior endgame potential. So look forward to shining in the late game with your diverse toolkit of Shockwave Totem plus Earthquake, control enemies while dealing devastating AoE damage. We've got Leap Slam plus Stampede, close the gap and disrupt enemy formations with mobility and crowd control, and Seismic Cry plus Hammer of the Gods, empower slams for massive single target damage. I also made a game, it's called Battle Babes, it's on Steam, it's on sale, go play it if you want. If not, leave a comment, like and subscribe, love you all, hasta la vista, peace. All I need is a single well-placed arrow. I'm fleet of foot and have the eyes of a hawk. Put a bow in my hands and they'll die trying to catch me. Let's talk about the Ranger in Path of Exile 2, and we're also going to talk about the Ascension classes, Deadeye and Pathfinder, and we're going to dive down the bow mastery. So let's get started. Unleash precision and agility with the Ranger class in Path of Exile 2. Dive into the world of the Ranger, a dexterity-based class that specialises in bows, agility, and elemental mastery. Whether you're raining down arrows, spreading poison, or zipping around the battlefield with unmatched mobility, the Ranger delivers a thrilling and versatile playstyle. In this, we're going to explore the Ranger's core abilities, the Ascension classes Deadeye and Pathfinder, and we're going to look at some of the key strategies and the class fantasy and the playstyle you're expected to adopt to dominate enemies in style. Thanks for all the love and support so far for the last couple of videos I've done. The Mercenary one, Witch one, and Monk is doing really well. And then the Ranger is probably the fourth class I'm thinking of playing, so it makes sense to do this fourth. And then Sorcerer and Warrior are coming straight after this, so get ready. Let's move on. The Ranger is a master of ranged combat, combining precision attacks with high mobility. Specialising in bow skills with elemental and poison effects, she ensures her enemies are defeated before they even get close. Her exceptional mobility-focused abilities, like leaping backwards and vaulting while firing arrows, make her highly agile and versatile in combat. Some of the key features are elemental bow skills. You can utilise lightning, ice and poison for diverse damage types. Agile combat. Shoot while moving with the new WASD movement system in Path of Exile 2. You can reposition with leaps and vaults and evade enemies with ease. You've got Flask and Charm mechanics, where you can boost your combat effectiveness with the revamped Flask system and defensive charms. Pros, you've got high mobility for dodging and repositioning, you've got elemental and poison versatility to adapt to different enemy types, and you've got crowd control with skills that slow, freeze, or poison enemies. So you're really good at kiting, essentially, running and gunning. Cons, you've got fragile, relying on positioning to avoid taking damage. Requires careful flask and resource management for sustained effectiveness. And there's a high skill ceiling for mastering the mobility and combos and kiting playstyle you've got to adopt. Onto the different Ascendancy classes. So the one I'm going to go for is probably Deadeye. I'm not really into the potion throwing, concoction making Pathfinder one. But let's just go through Deadeye. The Deadeye is a precision-based Ascendancy excelling in speed, projectile mechanics, and overwhelming enemies with a flurry of arrows. Key features are endless munitions, fire additional projectiles increasing area coverage, gathering winds, gain tailwind for a speed boost with each skill use, eagle eyes, eliminate accuracy penalties ensuring consistent ranged attacks, far shot, projectiles deal more damage the further they travel, love that. Point blank, bonus damage for close range attacks, offering flexibility in positioning. So some of the pros are you've got exceptional AoE and high single target DPS. You do a lot of damage, but you're fragile. You've got increased movement speed and attack speed, ensuring relentless offensive pressure. And you thrive in long range combat with no accuracy penalties. Some of your cons are you rely on frenzy charges for optimal performance, and positioning is crucial to leverage far shot and point blank bonuses. So you've got to really know when to time your shot, when to run away, etc. When it comes to ascending as the Pathfinder, you combine poison mechanics with the strategic use of flasks and throwable concoctions to devastate enemies. Some of your key features are bleeding concoction, use flask charges to throw explosive bottles that cause bleeding damage. You've got fulminating concoction, which spreads poison between enemies for sustained dot damage. You've got overwhelming toxicity, double the number of poisons inflicted, increasing your overall damage. Contagious Contamination, spread poison to nearby enemies on kills for chain reactions, and Running Assault, enhance mobility for fluid combat. Some of your pros are outstanding poison mechanics for sustained damage over time effects. You've got highly flexible with flask usage and throwable skills, and you're great for players who enjoy tactical poison-based gameplay. Some of the cons are you're dependent on flash charges and careful resource management, and your damage ramps up over time, making it less effective in burst scenarios. So you've got to do a lot of kiting, a lot of outplaying. So now I open it up to you. Which Ascendancy fits you? Deadeye or Pathfinder? What are your thoughts so far on Path of Exile 2? What classes are you going to go first, and what Ascensions are you going to go first? Leave some tips and tricks down below for myself and for everyone else, especially for the new players among us like me. I've only got into this the past 3 days, but I'm learning everything I can, trying to channel some of this hype energy into video since we're still waiting like 2 or 3 days before it comes out. And then finally, your Ranger endgame. You've got 21 unique bow skills. The Ranger dominates the battlefield with abilities like Tornado Shot, where you fire arrows that split and ricochet for devastating AoE. You've got Rain of Arrows, blanket the battlefield with a deadly hail of projectiles. You've got Ice Shot, freeze and slow enemies for effective crowd control. Toxic Growth, inflict poison that spreads, creating havoc in enemy ranks. So the new features are your revamped flasks, and you've got some charms. Basically, master the art of precision and agility with the Ranger in Path of Exile 2 and have fun while you're at it. There's loads of waffle in there, but like I say, leave some tips and tricks for everyone else. What builds are you looking at? Blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts and feelings so far? Go check out my other guides. I've done the Mercenary, there's 4 others, but I'm about to do 2 right now. So if you want to support the channel, like and subscribe. I've published a game on Steam. It's called Battle Babes. It's on sale right now. Go buy it if you want. Love you all. Hasta la vista. Peace. The elements are mine to control. I know why lightning strikes, why fire burns, and why cold freezes. They do so because I command it. The vengeance of the Maraketh will find those who have transgressed, no matter where they run. Let's talk about the Sorceress in Path of Exile 2, and we're going to go over the Ascendancy classes, Stormweaver and Chronomancer. I can't lie, the Sorceress is probably the one I want to play the least, but the Chronomancer seems really cool. The fact that you can stop time and then unleash the elements on them and smash them to pieces. Thanks for all the love and support on my latest videos. I've covered all the other classes, so go check out them if you're interested. But let's crack on with it. So, harness the elements with the Sorceress in Path of Exile 2. Step into the shoes of the Sorceress, an intelligence-based powerhouse. This quintessential mage wields devastating fire, cold, and lightning spells to obliterate enemies and control the battlefield. In this guide, we'll delve into the Sorceress's core mechanics, her dynamic Stormweaver Ascension build, and the time-stopping Chronomancer Ascendancy build. Then we'll talk about how to maximise her incredible elemental combos for explosive endgame potential. Key features: the Sorceress is a pure spellcaster class that focuses on elemental magic rather than weaponry. Whether summoning firestorms, creating icy barriers, or unleashing chain lightning in big combinations together, the Sorceress commands the battlefield with versatility and destructive power. Your key features are your elemental spells, which is fire, cold, and lightning, and you've got crowd control, which does a lot of damage. Spell synergy, combine skills like Flame Wall and Lightning Sparks to create cool, enhanced effects, and then trigger gems, automate spells with gems like Cast on Ignite for seamless spellcasting chains. Some of your pros are incredible AoE and crowd control, you've got high synergy between spells for good combos, and you're versatile with fire, cold, and lightning to adapt to any encounter. Your cons: you're a glass cannon playstyle with low durability, so you've got to think in advance and not get yourself caught. Heavy reliance on mana for sustained combat, and you've got complex spell combos which require precision and practice. So let's move on to the Ascendancy. I'm going to go through Stormweaver first. The Stormweaver is an elemental specialist capable of unleashing devastating storm magic to dominate enemies. Your key features are Tempest Caller. You can trigger Elemental Storm on critical spell hits, dealing massive AoE damage. Strike Twice, which applies 2 simultaneous shocks to enemies, amplifying damage output. we've got Shaper of Storms, convert all damage from hits into increased shock chance, maximizing elemental effects. Some of the pros, you've got massive AoE, high shock application synergizes well with lightning spells. It's ideal for players who want to specialize in critical hit and storm-based builds. Some of your cons are it requires consistent critical hits for maximum effectiveness, and the shock mechanics need precise timing and positioning. Now let's talk about the time-stopping Chronomancer. So you bend time to your will, controlling enemies and resetting your own resources for sustained spellcasting. Some of the key features are Ultimate Command, stop time with the time freeze skill, immobilizing enemies for powerful follow-up attacks, Footprints in the Sand, use Temporal Rift to rewind to a previous position, restoring life and mana. You can also reset all skill cooldowns with Time Snap, allowing for repeated spell bursts and crazy combinations. Your pros are unmatched crowd control with time manipulation, resource recovery mechanics ensure sustained spellcasting and survivability, and perfect for strategic players who value precise control over the battlefield. Some of the cons are you're reliant on your skill cooldowns for effectiveness and requires careful planning to maximize time manipulation. So based on all that waffle so far, which Ascendancy is for you? Do you want to go Stormweaver and enjoy overwhelming enemies with high damage and storm-based super combos? Or do you want to go the time-stopping Chronomancer, where you pick the perfect tactical approach, use your time manipulation and smash them to smithereens? In regards to your endgame potential, you've got 25 active elemental skills, and you shine with combos like Flame Wall plus Lightning Sparks, Orb of Storms plus Frostbolt, where you control enemy movement while dealing continuous damage. You can even do Ball, Lightning, and Firestorm for devastating AoE combo with fire and lightning mix. And finally, I'm going to leave it to you now. What are your thoughts and feelings so far? What classes are you going to play, and what Ascensions are you going to play first? Leave some tips and tricks for new players and myself down below. Thanks again for all the love and support. I made a game. It's called Battle Babes. It's on Steam. It's on sale right now. Go buy it and play it if you want. Thanks for watching, leave a comment, love you all, hasta la vista, peace. I do not fear death, I am its master. Darkness and the dead are my weapons of war. My enemies will rot from the inside out as my army of corpses tears them screaming limb from limb. Let's talk about the Witch in Path of Exile 2, and we'll talk about the Ascendancies, Blood Mage, and Infernalist. Unleash the power of the occult with the Witch, an intelligence-based class in Path of Exile 2. Specialising in summoning undead minions and wielding chaos magic, the Witch offers a dynamic, beginner-friendly playstyle, perfect for strategic combat. I just posted a Mercenary deep dive covering the Gemling Legionnaire and the Witch Hunter, and that video is doing really well, so thanks for all the new support and thanks for all the love. So I thought I'd do this video because the Witch is what I'm planning to go as my second class in Path of Exile 2, but deciding between Blood Mage and Infernalist is much harder for me than the Witch Hunter and the Gemling Legionnaire for the Mercenary. I think overall, aesthetically and the vibe I'm going for, it's probably going to be Infernalist, but Blood Mage is also like peak class fantasy for me as well, so the Witch is really my cup of tea when it comes to like mages. So let's start with a quick overview and then we'll move on to the Ascendancies for the Witch. So she's a classic necromancer combining undead minions and dark magic to devastate enemies. Whether it's controlling a skeletal army, unleashing plague-like chaos spells, or cursing enemies for maximum damage, the Witch provides versatile tools for controlled high-damage gameplay. So the key features are your minion-based gameplay. You're going to command an undead army with improved minion control mechanics, and you can also move with WASD now in Path of Exile 2. Then we've got persistent minions that revive automatically, freeing you from constant resummoning and maintenance. Chaos magic synergy, you can use curses and sacrificial magic to spread disease, poison, and destruction. And your endgame potential with 25 active occult skills means the Witch becomes a commander of devastation, summoning hordes and unleashing deadly chaos spells. You've got a spirit resource, which is introduced in Path of Exile 2, and this enables tailored minion setups and persistent spells like Arctic Armor. You equip a scepter or a staff to increase spirit capacity and summon larger armies. So some pros and cons of the Witch are you've got persistent minions that provide constant support and damage, and there's not a lot of maintenance to them. You've got high synergy between chaos spells and curses, and it's a beginner-friendly playstyle with a controlled and strategic view. Some of the cons are it's heavily reliant on minions for defense and offense, so if you get caught off guard, you might be in trouble. Requires careful spirit management for optimized setups, and your passive playstyle may not appeal to players seeking active combat. So based on this already, I think I'm going to stick with the Mercenary, but there's something about the Witch that's just calling me, man. Now let's talk about the different Ascendancies, and we'll touch on summoning as well towards the end. So we'll start with Blood Mage. So the Blood Mage taps into life energy, sacrificing health to unleash powerful blood magic. Some of the key features are, Sanguimancy, so blood magic basically, converts base mana costs into life costs, enabling high power spells. You've got Crimson Power, which increases maximum life by converting energy shield from body armor. We've got Vitality Siphon, which is leech 10% of spell damage as life, enhancing your survivability. And then we've got Gore Spike, which is gain critical damage bonus based on total life. And you're basically shooting out these like big green bone spikes. And then you pick up these red orbs on the ground. So some of the pros are it's life-based casting, which creates unique mechanics. It's got high survivability with life leech, and it's great for players who enjoy a high-risk, high-reward playstyle. Some of the cons are it requires careful health management, and it's not that beginner-friendly due to the sacrificial mechanics, I should say. So next, we've got the Infernalist, my favourite, like the peak. The transformation into the flying demoness succubus thing is just insane to me. So let's do a deep dive. So harness the power of Hellfire and summon a fiery companion for devastating AoE damage. Your key features are you've got a loyal Hellhound. You can summon a Hellhound that absorbs 20% of incoming damage and attacks mobs for you, sets them on fire. You've got Pyromantic Pact, which replaces mana with Infernal Flame for spellcasting, gaining power but taking fire damage when flame is maxed. You've got Bringer of Flame, which increases ignite chance and magnitude for you and your minions. And then my favourite part is Demonic Possession. Transform into a demon form, unleashing incredible destruction. Like, the clips that are coming out from this just look insane. The class fantasy it's serving for me, I'm waffling now, but wow. So some of the pros are you've got high AoE potential with fiery skills. Infernal Flame offers powerful offensive capabilities. Your Hellhound companion provides extra survivability and cleans up. And who doesn't like having a pet? Like, I just love it. Cons, you've got Infernal Flame mechanics can be punishing if poorly managed and reliant on balancing offensive and defensive strategies. But, do you know what I mean? She's going to be a tanky, flaming AoE god. And then let's just touch on like your minion builds for the Witch. So minions are the core mechanic for the Witch, and the way these work is you've got skeletal warriors, skeletal arsonists, skeletal mages, and then spectres and zombies. So the warriors are basically cheap tanks for absorbing damage and taking aggro off you. You've got the arsonists, where they do massive damage just by bow and arrow essentially. And then you've got the skeletal mages, which provide you elemental damage. And then your spectres and zombies reinforce your army with durable allies. And then you can even like res corpses and get corpses to fight for you. The Witch can also utilize, well, it's saying this here. So you can also use Detonate Dead and Profane Ritual to turn the battlefield into a graveyard of destruction. So which Ascendancy is fitting you there? Is it the Blood Mage, which is perfect for players who enjoy sacrificing health for massive power and enjoy leech mechanics? Or are you more a flaming Infernalist where for you it's ideal just doing massive fiery AoE explosions with a little fire dog that follows you around, and then you all get to enjoy some summons? So great for beginners who love controlling hordes and undead minions. So there we go, loads of waffle in there. That's everything I could find so far. Let me know if you know anything else, and let me know what you're excited for, what you're ascending to, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, I made a game. It's called Battle Babes. It's on Steam. It's on sale right now. You can go play it if you want. Love you. Hasta la vista. Peace. You've got a weapon? I'll wield it. Just tell me where to point it. I've seen the highs and horrors of war, and I'll do whatever it takes to survive. If you've got coin, I'm your man. Let's talk about the Mercenary in Path of Exile 2. This is the first class that I'm going to play, so I'm going to do a deep dive onto this, find out everything I can about it, and show you some gameplay clips that have been released so far. The Mercenary is a hybrid class which gets strength and dexterity, and it specialises in crossbows and elemental grenades. It's got a versatile playstyle where you combine rapid fire attacks, long range sniping, and elemental effects for devastating combos. It comes with unique mechanics such as adapting various ammo types which require precision and tactical gameplay. It's basically the Call of Duty Rambo character, the gunslinger from Lost Ark. So the key features are the crossbow mechanics, where you switch ammo types between fire, cold, poison, etc. for strategic advantages that'll benefit you. You've got a shotgun style, which does close range bursts. You've got a sniper rifle for long range precision, assault rifle for rapid fire, and grenade launcher for explosive AoE attacks. This all comes with elemental grenades, which can freeze, ignite, or poison enemies for chain reactions. You've got artillery ballistas for long range suppressing fire and tactical placement. And then endgame power, you've got loads of crossbow skills for massive destruction and combinations. Some pros and cons for the Mercenary. So on the pro section, we've got ammo flexibility, which offers a wide range of attacks for any situation. You've got shooter-like gameplay, especially combined with the new WASD controls. So your fast-paced, precise combat. And then strategic depth, which offers crowd control and heavy combo skills. Some of the downsides are complex ammo switching, which requires quick thinking. You've got ballista positioning to worry about with minimum range limits in close quarters. And then it's very preparation heavy, so you're reliant on positioning and setup. As for the skill gems, we don't know much, but you're looking at armor-piercing rounds, permafrost bolts, rapid shots, ice shards, glacial bolts, lightning grenades, cluster grenades, siege grenades. Basically, this class is perfect for players who enjoy tactical gameplay with lots of combos and setup. And if you prefer the shooter WASD mechanics in an ARPG setting, this is the class for you. It's versatile and you can adapt your playstyle with loads of deep customization options. So now let's go on to the Ascensions. You've got two. You can either go Witch Hunter or you can go the Gemling Legionnaire. So they're both really cool, but the class fantasy that Gemling Legionnaire is giving me is crazy. You basically just augment your body with like corrupted chaos gems and just make yourself an absolute god. But let's go down the Witch Hunter one first. So for the Witch Hunter Ascendancy, it's basically an assassin-like class blending sorcery and ruthless crossbow combat. So it's going to be good in boss fights and crowd control. Obsessive Rituals is a key feature which grants Sorcery Ward, which basically improves your elemental defenses but reduces your armor and your dodge. Then we've got Zealous Inquisition, where enemies killed explode, dealing 100% of their max life, which can be crazy. There's a chance for that to pop. And you've got bonus double against undead and demons. Then you've got one for the bosses, so Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Your first hit can deal up to 30% of an enemy's life. So bosses, if you get lucky at the start, it's a massive advantage. Then there's Witchbane, where enemies have concentration, which I think makes enemies whiff. And then if left unbroken for 5 seconds, they start hitting you again. Pros and cons, you're really good against bosses with single hit burst damage. You've got lots of crowd control for explosives. And your unique mechanics provide strategic depth with concentration. Your cons is you've got reduced defensive stats due to Sorcery Ward, and you're relying on precise targeting and setting up optimally. Now on to my favourite, the Gemling Legionnaire. So essentially you enhance your abilities by embedding skill gems directly into your body. focuses on maximizing the power and utility of gems for flexible and powerful builds. So you gain 3 additional skill slots, allowing more active abilities and utility options. Then you've got some maximum elemental resistance based things where you basically get cold resistance, fire resistance, lightning resistance from the blue, red, and green gems. You've got adaptive capability, which gems meet attribute requirements using your highest attribute. We've got crystalline potential, which people are saying are going to be crazy, and you get 12% quality for all skill gems, enhancing their effects. So some pros and cons for the gemling is you've got highly customizable with extra skill slots, boosted elemental resistances to improve your survivability, flexible gem requirements for good itemization, and then your cons, you've got gem-dependent playstyle, so it can require frequent upgrades and adjustments, and it's focused on utility, it may reduce raw offensive or defensive specializations. So what are you reckoning? How are you going to build your character? Are you going to play Mercenary or are you going to play some other classes? Leave some comments down below. If you like this, support my channel, buy Battle Babes. It's on sale right now. It's on Steam. Love you all. Hasta la vista. Peace.